Hello, thanks for tuning in. My name is Russell, and you obviously know me if you follow this channel. Today, I'm very fortunate to be joined by the lovely Calvin Wong. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, good. So thank you for joining us. It's very kind for you to take your time to do this.
Oh no, it's a pleasure.
So
This sounds like it's going to be so much fun.
Oh yeah, it's a very informal thing. So I know a lot of interviews tend to be like da 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 da, but this one is very like la la
I
la.
wouldn't say yes. I wouldn't say yes to those.
Oh really? Okay, good. Well, thank you. See, obviously I picked the right format for this. This is good. So obviously this being called tea and a chit chat, the most pressing question of all, Calvin, is what tea are you drinking
Well, okay.
or beverage?
I know this is going to be sacrilege on an English person's. You're English, right?
I am. Well,
Okay.
Welsh, but we'll take that.
No, 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 no. I refuse. You are Welsh.
I am Welsh, but British means I'm still into the tea
Well,
game.
I didn't say British. I said
That's
English.
correct.
Anyway,
Okay, no, that's
anyway, anyway. I know this is sacrilegious to say on a British person's thing, but I don't drink tea. I don't like it.
hey, you're
As-
you're not the only one to have said that, you know. So you don't drink tea, but what are you drinking? Okay, Coca Cola.
this is Coke Zero. It's the black one. No
Okay,
calories. It is. I love carbonated drinks. I love the soda feeling, the acid feeling. I think
the,
it's
I
yeah, I love it.
I
I would drink just seltzer water for the rest of my life, and I would be happy.
really just
But
the
yeah,
the sensation of the fizziness on your tongue.
yeah, and the mouth and the throat, the whole like areas,
It's a
all the
whole
areas. Yeah.
well, like no judgment here. Like you can drink what you want. You know, this is ultimately a chat. So, you can't be forced to drink something you don't want to drink because otherwise you wouldn't enjoy it. So that's totally fine. I should say, by the way, for anyone who is watching, and I should just check that I actually am live because I haven't checked that when I usually do that. If anyone's watching, if you have a question for Calvin, please write it in the chat. We will try and ask this to Calvin at the end, towards the end of the stream. And and if you have any, and you can just chat along. It'd be nice to sort of like chat to people anyway as you go along. Yes. Okay. So I have written down, as I am, a professional. I have written down some questions for you.
Good thing you are because I'm not. At least one of
I
us has that base covered.
Well, I'm not that much of a professional. Oh, I should have said, by the way. So I'm drinking a tea as well. Mine is just
Hmm.
going by the very informally named. I can write. I'll show you there. It's actually just called. Actually, I can't remember. You're on that. You're
Oh,
on that.
Lipton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but look at the name of it. It's just called Nature. I can see that on the stream. It's literally just written down as Nature. So I have
Amazing.
no idea what that tea is. I haven't even started drinking it yet. So we'll find out later on. Okay. So oh yeah, and if you no, I've already said that. Oops. Okay. So yeah, I'm already lost. Okay. So first things first. I read because you were one of Board Game Geek's Geek of the Week previously, which was very,
Oh
very,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah,
very
that was
cool.
my friend Raf. I think it was Raf. It was probably Raf. It
So
was either Raf. It was either Raf or Charlie. It's who are the two people I do the Dig and Dent
Ding and Dent
podcast
podcast.
slash website. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So so it's nominated, right? So you get nominated to be by somebody else, and it kind of like is like a chain of referrals. That's how
yeah.
that
I think
works.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So one of the things I read on your chat, which I found very interesting, you put down like your highlights, top three highlights. One of them was being recognized by Michelle Yeoh, which is crazy good. I mean, I can't even imagine what
Ridiculous.
that must be like. Uh,
Ridiculous.
I know, but the one I wanted to ask you about, because this is just more intriguing, and you never sort of clarified exactly, but you said one of your highlights was having a baked potato in Germany. Is that correct?
Yeah. Okay. Before we get on this, I want to correct that it was not Raf or Charlie.
Okay.
I think I nominated Raf or Charlie, maybe. But anyway, I'm not going to take everyone's time too much. But who nominated me was the previous Geek of the Week. That's how it works. The previous Geek of the Week nominates the next
Gotcha.
Geek of the Week. That's how the chain goes. And the guy who nominated me was a man named Sami Lakso.
Okay.
He's actually running a Kickstarter right now for a game called Dale of Merchants 3. Okay.
Oh, I've heard of this, and actually, I've been very intrigued about this game. I've not played it, but
It is my favorite deck builder.
wow.
Period.
I mean,
Yes.
and you,
That is a very crowded field. Right? It's a very crowded genre.
yeah.
It is my favorite one.
What?
And the reason it's my favorite, okay, it's my favorite pure deck builder. Because a lot of games have like deck building plus exploration, or deck building plus combat, or deck building plus something else, right? But in terms of the draw 5 cards, shuffle the deck, just that,
Yeah.
Dale Merchant is my favorite one, because the reason it's my favorite one is because it's very snappy. There's no counting score at the end.
Okay.
Cards you buy just go straight into your hand to use them immediately, so you don't have to put them
Wow.
in your
Okay.
discard pile and shuffle them back up. There's like every box that you buy. I think Dale of Merchants 3 is the 4th Dale of Merchants product. And every box that you buy has 6 different animal decks in it, and all the animals are very cute. There's owls, there's penguins, there's chameleons, there's parrots, there's macaws.
Oh, wow.
Right? I said parrots and macaws, but it's just macaws.
Yeah.
There's macaws, there's squirrels, there's pandas. So each deck has its own identity and its own like style of doing things, right? Like,
Yeah.
some people really like the take that style of deck building, where I attack your hand or attack your stuff. So you can play as the crocodiles, and they specialize in that, or the.
Do the? I mean, because I talk about this a little bit because I'm curious about it. Does it? Do the animals dictate almost the style of gameplay? Like, do the crocodiles?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if the two of us were to play,
Yeah.
right? Let's say we had a copy of one of the Dale of Merchants boxes.
Yeah.
We would need 2 animal decks plus 1.
Okay.
So that for the two of us, we need 3 decks, and if there were 4 players, we'd use 5 of the animals.
Yeah.
And so on. So which decks you use obviously determines how the game will play. So that's why I like it a lot. So you can customize it to your experience. So I mean, I like deck builders that are very. I like a deck builder experience that's very very combo
Yeah.
focused. So you can do that. Some people like to make their decks really thin. You can do that.
Oh, okay.
Depending on which animals that you want. So Dale of Merchants 3, and in fact all of the other Dale of Merchants products, are on Kickstarter right now. I am not affiliated with Sammy.
You're not pocketing some money to plug it, but no, that's.
No,
hey,
I just love the game. I just love the game, and I think it's great. Okay, you were
asking about baked potato.
talking to me about baked potato. Okay, I love potatoes. I think they're neat.
They taste good.
No, they taste good. Yeah, that's it. For me, they just taste good. And I've never encountered a way of eating potato that I don't like. Obviously, I have preferences. Near the top is like French fries.
Yeah, yeah, that's a solid choice.
Yeah, near the top is like French fries and.
I mean, you're talking to a British person. British people love their potatoes, so I'm I'm with you there.
Yeah, all the Scotland and the England. Yeah, okay, cool. So, going to Germany was me answering eating a baked potato in Germany was kind of a funny way of saying that I had a really good baked potato in Germany, but it was also kind of a representation of finally going to Europe.
Yeah.
Because I've never been to Europe before going to Germany.
So
and
this is because I met you last year at the Essen, exactly. So was that your first visit to Europe?
No.
Okay.
Last year would have been Essen number 3 or 4.
Okay. So the first time I went to Essen and the first time I went to Germany and had a baked potato. So it was also the fact who I had the baked potato with, right? Because my friend who invited me to stay in his house in Berlin, took me out to a nice steak place, and the baked potato at the nice steak place was very good. So it was
it was
an experience, basically. It wasn't just about the actual potato; it was about the experience.
The actual potato itself was also very, very good. It was one of the better baked potatoes I've had, because I think just because the potatoes we get here are not as starchy. They're very we either get russets or basically like Chinese potatoes. The Chinese potatoes are usually for wet cooking, like throw them in stews. They're very hardy and very they stay intact. Whereas russets are more for like baking, mashing, wedges. I don't know what the German potatoes are called, but they're absolutely amazing baked. I don't know what to tell you. I really like potatoes.
So we're talking a lot
Yeah.
about we're not talking a lot about food, but obviously, people who might know you for some of your other really good talents, so including your board game, your love of board games. That's how I know you. We met at the board game convention in Essen, but also you do a lot of writing as well, and you also do a bit of
Yeah.
acting. Obviously,
Not as much as I would like of both of those, I think.
so which of the following? Because I also know you talk a lot about on Twitter about like video games as well, because you obviously have a love for certain video games. But of the four things that I just mentioned, video games, board games, writing, and acting, what order did they come into your life? Like,
Oh, okay. The first one is probably board and video games around the same time because some of my earliest memories with games involve playing games with my parents.
okay,
Like playing Monopoly with my mom and dad, or playing Battleship with my dad, and obviously video games are always a huge thing. Like going to the arcade when I was a kid was a really big deal. Where are the arcades now? I mean, they've all gone
yeah,
basically.
they did disappear, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But going to the arcade was a big deal when I was a kid, and then when we finally got a home video console, I think it was the one before the Super Nintendo. Yeah, but I had one, and then after that, we had a PC, and those were really big deals for me. What were the other? Okay, board games, video games, acting, and
And writing.
okay, writing started about age. I've always loved reading since I was a very very young. I learned to read very early, like age 2, like ridiculously early, and I read a lot. I was reading all the time, literally all the time, and I just started writing just stories. It was Calvin and Hobbes fan fiction, actually, if you must know.
Calvin and Hobbes. Okay, well that's
Yes,
nice.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it was, and if it was just me, just like wanting to tell the stories that were in my head. So I've always been interested in storytelling. Watched a lot of movies growing up, read a lot of books, watched TV a lot, obviously, and I was always fascinated by storytelling and language and the use of both. And so I've been doing that. I mean, after the gaming happened, but also since about age 9, and I'm 34 now, so for perspective.
Yeah.
And the acting came much much later, just sort of randomly. In school, they would ask me to like play roles in the annual concerts. I'm pretty sure you have those in Britain, right?
No, what? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. School concerts.
School. Yeah, we have them. They're plenty. Too many, actually.
Yeah, I know. But a lot of my happiest memories of school involve school concerts. So for those of you who don't know, it's a bit like a talent show.
Yeah.
So you just like every class will have a performance of some kind. And like one of the things that I did when I was like 15 or 16 was I wrote a play for my friends and I to perform
Yeah.
at the annual concert. That was really fun.
Wow, that's quite impressive.
Well, no, the play was terrible, but
I mean, like,
it was a good experience.
But to do that, that's quite impressive, I think.
Yeah. And so I was writing plays for the annual concerts, and I was like performing in them and like sort of directing them. And I've done quite a bit of theater throughout most of my early and mid 20s, and the being in Crazy Rich Asians thing was just a massive monumental coincidence.
Yeah.
Because somebody I'd worked with hired a lady to star in the same short film as me, and that lady has a casting agency, and that casting agency was subcontracted by Warner Brothers to do the Malaysian casting for Crazy Rich Asians.
Wow.
Like that's the level of. Am I on camera, by the way? I realized I never actually asked.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
all right, because I was making gestures.
Making gestures.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so that it was in that order. So board gaming and video gaming around the same time. Although the vast majority of my early life was more video game focused. Although the tactility of board games always drew me, right? Like, because you had the toy factor. It's like this big board on the table, little plastic like soldiers when playing Risk, right? Or even just Monopoly, the little houses and the tactility of the money, just like handing out money, having a big stack of cash. It was always fun. Like Battleship, putting the little pegs in the little plastic ships. Yeah, for me, there's always had that. Board games have always had that the capturing of the imagination through the tactility of it, and that's something I think that hasn't really gone away from me because, like, I respect the use of standees, pawns, and wooden tokens,
Yeah.
but for me, minis will always have a special place for me because they're so evocative and they really, if they're done well, they really capture the sense of what's happening on the table. But I understand they are expensive.
Yes.
And they are difficult to do. So I get it when most games don't have them. Most games don't need them, but when they do have them, it makes me happy.
So you said like board games are expensive, and obviously that is obviously a very good point. In Malaysia, which is where you're based, is that correct? Yeah.
I live in Malaysia.
Is that the case there? Are they more expensive in Malaysia than they would be sort of otherwise? Because I imagine that they're. I mean, I think I read somewhere that the community for board games is a little bit smaller because it's a lot more difficult to invest in that hobby.
Yeah, it's just more expensive as a percentage. Okay, well, our income per capita is lower, right? Um, and therefore, whenever you have a product that is imported and costs, a certain percentage of a person's disposable income, the community that is able to afford and play those games is quite narrow. Now, I mean, loads and loads of people play like, Cards Against Humanity, or they'll have a copy of Catan or Munchkin or whatever, right? Loads of people have, like, I've been to so many houses where they have a board game shelf that's like 3 games or 5 games.
That's fine, though.
And it's all those, and that's fine, but so those exist, but they would not call themselves board gamers. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, yeah, so they're like, and if I asked them to play a board game, they would. Like if they, in some of them have, like, they ask me to bring something over, so I'll bring something simple like Mysterium, or I'll bring Dixit, or I'll bring Code Names, and we have a great time. And then when they come over and they see my shelf, which for context, by the way, I don't actually have that many games. At last count, it was something like 70-ish.
That's a middle-sized collection, I'd say.
I don't want that many, but I just don't want to give the wrong impression that people think I have like a multi-hundred game collection. But when people come over and see even this something, which for us is fairly like modest, right? And a lot of these were SN review copies, at least half of them now at this point. And so, but people come over and they're like, oh my God, there's so many games. Do you actually know all the rules to them? And I'm like, yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, I do.
Love that question because, I mean, I don't know if you know, but I worked, because obviously current situation pending, at a board game cafe. And so when I've been worked there for a few years, and at the beginning my job was just like a board game guru, so people would always ask me, oh my God, do you know all these games? And it's like, well, I know a lot of them, I know most of them, but people are always impressed by that, and for me it's just part and parcel of being sort of in the hobby. It's just like, well, of course I'm gonna know that, otherwise.
I mean, the other thing is that there's kind of like this shared vocabulary that a lot of games have, right? Like, you play one deck builder, you've played them all, kind of thing, and it's only like the minute details that differ between each of them.
I mean, it's like a building blocks of it's like having I mean, it's exactly what you said. I don't know, I'm trying to like reiterate it. It's exactly
but it's exactly, so once you have the basic concept down, then it's easy to build upon. Like, I've tried to introduce people to deck builders, Dale of Merchants actually, but but to them, non-gamers, it's so difficult for them to understand. Okay, my turn is over. Am I supposed to draw cards or not draw cards?
Yeah, you're right, very right actually, because it is a very big barrier to some people to play this hobby. Is because, and that's why like board game cafes are good, and even like rules videos are good, because if you can like entertain someone almost by like explaining them the game, because obviously in the rules video they have to be high production. I feel like to really engage some people. That's why I think people like Watch It Played, Rodney Smith, is very good. And there's a lot of people out there doing things now in a slick, kind of very clear, very precise way. And in real life, in teaching board games, like you can kind of play with the customers, you can interact with them, and you can sort of bring them in a little bit with your enthusiasm of the game as well.
That was my cat. Sorry. Did you get all that like loud clanging?
Oh yeah, no, that's totally fine though. Like at the end of the day, we are taking out your time. If you want to bring the cat on stream, I'm sure nobody would complain about that.
Oh, she's run away now. She's
well,
run
if she
away.
comes back, if she does come back, feel free to bring her on the stream. I know you're very much. Well, let's talk about your cat briefly. Obviously, you post about them a lot on the stream, and she's called Kazrak, right? Yeah. And that's in reference to Elder Scrolls game, right?
Warhammer.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
We get to tell the story of why she's called Kazrak.
Please do.
Okay. You want to tell the story? No. Okay. Right. No, because my partner gave Kazrak her name, and no, but she doesn't want to tell the story. Okay. The scene is Christmas 2018. Okay. Christmas 2018. Oh, Kazrak, come, baby. We're talking about you.
Okay, we're getting a cat, guys. We're getting a cat. This stream's gonna just go up like 10,000%. Oh look. Oh my god. She's gorgeous. I mean, I've seen her on Twitter. I've seen her on Twitter plenty of times, but she is so lovely.
People need to see you.
Yes. We can.
No.
It's like no cameras, please. So December.
She's so cute.
So December 2018.
2018.
Christmas.
December 2018. Our friend messages us saying, "We found this cat. Oh, I found this cat. She's covered in ants. She has one eye. She's in a tree by my office where I park my car. Can anyone foster her just for a little while?" That's how it always starts, right? Can anyone foster this cat just for a little while?
Well, we already know the end of that story, so.
So for the first 2 weeks, we fed her. We had like a temporary litter box. We like asked around if anyone wanted a cat, and part of us like we shouldn't name her, because if we name her, that's when it sets in.
The bond is complete.
You're British. You're into video games. You know the Yogs cast, right?
The what? Sorry.
The Yogs cast.
Yes. I don't watch them per se, but I have heard of them. Yeah.
Okay. So for those who don't know, the Yogs cast are a really big British YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Every year at Christmas, they do what's it called? Jingle Jam. The Jingle Jam. The Jingle Jam is a massive charity thing. They raise millions and millions of pounds for charity every year.
Fantastic.
At the Jingle Jam. It's the December-long, like, Twitch streams, 12 to 18. Is it 18-hour Twitch streams or something like that? Like, just the all-day Twitch streams, basically. Just raising money for charity. Like, I think last year, 2019, they raised £1 million in 30 minutes or something like that. Gosh. Ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, in the first 30 minutes of the 30-day charity-a-thon. Right. Anyway, in December 2018, one of the games that they were playing was Total Warhammer, the video game.
Okay.
So, and there is a character in the video game called Kazrak One-Eye, because he's a major character in Warhammer lore. And there was a very famous sketch. You can look this up right now if you want, called where you can just Google Yogs cast Kazrak One-Eye.
Okay.
Where one of the members of the Yogs cast dressed up as Kazrak One-Eye's nemesis, Toddy! And he charged into the recording booth in full plate armor with a sword, going, "Where's Kazrak One-Eye?" Where is he? Yeah, it's
I think I just found it, and I was going to just link it to the chat so people could reference it later on.
Yeah. Or right now. I'm not as interesting.
Oh no! Don't go away. We want to chat. So basically, that I'm assuming made you.
Yeah. So that skit was very funny, and it happened right around the time that we got her, and she has one eye, so.
Perfect timing.
Kazrak One-Eye. Kazrak One-Eye.
Well, she is lovely, and thank you for showing her on the stream. All of the animal lovers out there will definitely appreciate that. Do you know what? So we have...
has an Instagram. Follow her on Instagram. Well, Kazrak.1.I.
Kazrak.1.I on Instagram. So if you need to follow her, there we go. So I got a few questions to want to get through. Obviously, we probably won't get through them all because just the way it is. We often just jump on different tangents and stuff. But what I want to ask you is, I know that when I met you at Essen Spiel, that you were there and giving out or getting signed Netrunner cards. And I know you like Netrunner, and I was a bit surprised to hear you say that Dale of Merchants was your favorite? Because I always had the impression that you were more of a Netrunner,
Okay.
Netrunner guy.
Netrunner is my favorite game, period.
Gotcha. Okay.
No. In the deck builder genre,
Yeah.
which Netrunner doesn't fall under. Deck builders are stuff like Dominion, Ascension, that kind of game. That's a deck builder.
I see.
Netrunner,
Okay.
yeah. Netrunner, Magic the Gathering, Ashes, those kinds of games are, despite the fact that you build a deck, are not deck builders. I know that.
You don't build the deck in the game. The deck building comes outside of the game. You go in and you just use the deck.
You go in with a constructed deck.
Yeah.
Whereas in games like Dominion and Dale of Merchants, you start with a basic deck and then you add cards to it. That's why you build the deck. That's why they're called deck
And everyone
builders.
starts with the same deck most of the time in these deck builders. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, so in terms of like Netrunner,
I wanna brag actually.
Yeah,
I was
please.
not receiving signed Netrunner cards. I was signing Netrunner cards.
Yes, sorry.
Because
So yes,
because
yeah, please explain. Actually, yeah.
Netrunner went out of print a few years ago because of some licensing issues. It's a Fantasy Flight game, but the original license for Netrunner, because it was a Richard Garfield game back in the 1990s. So he designed Magic the Gathering, then he designed Netrunner, and he actually prefers Netrunner.
Oh wow!
As a game,
he prefers.
Thinks it's a better game than Magic. He's right. It is.
Because it's very much the universe that they added to the game wasn't just Netrunner; it came from other games as well, right?
FFG had created the Android universe, and it was in a game. It was in some other games besides Netrunner, but it was that universe that they used for Netrunner. Anyway, the Netrunner license got revoked from FFG. We were all heartbroken, but some fans stepped up and said, we want to keep making Netrunner content. We want to make new cards. And I joined this initiative called Project Nisei, and they brought me on the writing and theming and fiction. So I wrote some stories for the game. I helped name some of the cards. So one of the cards that I named had recently gotten like a nice fancy full art version. And some of the people at Essen wanted me to sign their copies of those cards.
Wow!
So I did.
I think I
because I came up with a name for it. I want to talk about the card very briefly for 1 second.
Yeah, please do.
The reason I want to talk about the card is because one of the things that Netrunner was very focused on was that it was a futuristic cyberpunk universe that did not set itself in New York or Neo Tokyo or San Francisco. It set itself in Ecuador.
Wow.
Right? Did you know this? The Android universe is set in Ecuador.
Do you know what? It rings a bell because I think that you talked about. I've either seen you talk about this before. You might have mentioned it when we did meet. It's a fascinating fact for sure. You've definitely mentioned it before, and it rings a bell.
And when they went to different places around the world, they went to India, right, in Mumbai. They went to the African continent, specifically Uganda, in the Kampala region. And it's because this was a game that was very serious about bringing representation to the front, right? Throughout its entire lifespan, it had a dead even 50-50 split between male and female playable characters, with some non-binary characters in there as well. I think at last count there were 3 playable white guys in the game out of 50 characters. So this is a ridiculously low percentage.
That's my housemate's food takeaway order, by the way, just in case you hear that in the background.
No worries. I can see them running. But anyway, so one of the things that we wanted to do with Nisei was to continue that, right? To bring more diversity and more representation and more cultures. And I pushed for Malaysian culture to be represented in the Nisei set. So we have a Malaysian runner whose name is Lat. He's named after a very famous Malaysian cartoonist named Lat. And some of the cards are references to Malaysian culture or Malaysian concepts. And the card that I signed is called rezeki. Rezeki is a word that means, how do I even explain it? It's such a Malaysian concept, right? It's not your income although your income would be riziki, right? It's like your fortune, your good fortune, right?
Okay.
The things that happen to you in your life that are good.
Okay.
You have food on your table, you have a roof over your house. This is all your riziki, right? And you must be grateful for it. And it's just something that happens to you if you are grateful and you are humble and you work.
So, so I feel like I want to try and guess what that card involves now, based on what you just said. I'm assuming some credits come to you. Is that correct?
Yes, it gives you it's a program that gives you credits, a credit at the start of your turn.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
So that's very nicely named then. Very well themed that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, and obviously, is it, for those wondering, is that project still ongoing?
Yes.
Okay, so you're
They've just released a new set, and they're going to release a new core set. A core set basically is like a starter pack that new players can just jump in, can just print out these cards, because it's a print and play, obviously, because you can't. Yeah.
But that's
it's a print and play.
I guess that's okay, because obviously I know from playing from there was being big controversy over the some Dominion expansion that didn't quite match the card stock or whatever. But I guess with sleeves and just putting like some paper in front of it, that's totally fine. And it's also like it's never going to be the same, is it? No one's
it's actually ridiculously difficult to color control.
Yeah.
In just last year, actually, Czech Games Edition, who you think of as like one of the giants in the industry, their expansion of Through the Ages did not make it to Essen, because the company that made their paper for the original printings of Through the Ages had gone out of business.
Oh,
so
no.
They could not get the same paper. So they wanted to print an expansion, and they wanted to print new cards, right?
Yeah.
But the back did not match.
And obviously
and they could not get the backs to match.
It does,
no matter what they did, because the paper was different.
It does make me think like how not in a mean way, but how like really specific that the board game community is about this stuff, because it does matter in some degree, that kind of thing. It matters a lot more to a very small group of people, but at the same time you can sort of feel like, yes, it's justified. You don't want to play a game where somebody can like see something that they shouldn't be able to see. But it is in the grand scheme is a very kind of small problem. Do you know what I mean? And so it does.
Yeah, no, it's small. It's small, but it's big enough for them that they chose not to release that the first expansion to their biggest game, right? Well, apart from Codenames.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The first expansion to their biggest game, they chose to miss the biggest convention in the world because they couldn't get the color right.
I mean, fair play to them. Like, that is a big decision, and obviously they respected their game too much to be able to put out something that would really not alienate, but annoy a lot of the fan base that probably brought them up as big as they are anyway. So I do understand that decision.
It's not. I think it's not even the fans so much. I think it's just sort of integrity, right? Like the solution they ended up using was they just reprinted the whole deck.
Oh,
so if you buy a copy of the expansion, you just get
the original
reprint of the original deck.
Oh, that's a good sort of compromise, I guess. But I mean, it seems a bit wild that we could even get into that situation in the first place. Like, someone could have like a monopoly on a type of paper. Like, surely there must be some way to recreate it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about paper production, and you know what? That's for another stream.
I think personally, I apologize to everyone if we have lost half our audience, but personally, this is the kind of thing that I find fascinating, right? I love tiny little details like this.
Hey, you know what? One of the first Tina Chit Chats I ever did was with Ross Connell, and he spent a good 3 to 4 minutes talking about spreadsheets because I asked him about them. So literally nothing is off limits in these streams. So don't worry.
I don't know anything about spreadsheets.
Well, you can watch the first one if you want to find out more.
yeah, sure. Okay, next question.
All right, next question. Okay, so it's actually kind of a natural moving on point from something you mentioned earlier on about Netrunner. I think it's really good that you've taken on such an activist role on Twitter. I do think that's a really good bow to your string. I mean that's the right term.
No, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think it's great. And actually, because of that, because I mean, you are one of the biggest sort of activist personalities I do follow, and I think it's great because you're always retweeting and posting about things that matter. including increasing diversity in gaming, in just general life as well. And I wanted to ask you if you felt that was, because obviously you have a decent number of followers on Twitter, and I felt like, is that something that you naturally just naturally did? You find yourself doing, or did you almost feel like I feel like I have to do this because not enough people are doing it?
Both, I guess, because, both. One, I care. So when you care, it's easy, right? It's not like you have to force yourself. Like if I had to post about spreadsheets. The second thing is that one of my core beliefs is that I think if you have power or if you have ability, you have a responsibility to use it in ways that make the world a better place. And it sounds really stupid and self-aggrandizing, but I do have almost 5,000 Twitter followers, right? And I'm a personality in the board game scene. So I think that I have to use that voice positively, right? To try and change the industry in a way that makes it better for everyone. Because the thing about diversity is that it affects the quality of the game. Right, because the one that I tend to bang on about the most is East Asian games. And when I say East Asian games, notice that I don't say Chinese games because Asia, right, in the West means China. I mean, basically,
I can understand that. For me, it's obviously I'm not like a fool. Like I know Asia is a continent. It consists of many countries. But
but in the board gaming space, it's always China, and always China before the 1800s or the 1900s, right? It's never modern China. It's never Japan, unless it's samurai or cyberpunk, right? There's no in between, right? It's either the Edo period or World War II. So you got three, right? Like you got the samurai, the Bushido, you got World War II, and you've got like neon future. That's Japan, and I think that's a waste, like you have literally thousands and thousands of years of culture to draw from. We could be having so much more interesting games about Japan. I'm not Japanese, I wouldn't know, but if you look at the games that are coming out of Japan, what are they about? The game that we just picked up at Essen is called what is it called? Cat Sudoku. It's about Yeah, it's about doing Sudoku, but they're cute. They're cute cats, and there's 4 difficulty levels based out of the 4 seasons. Spring, summer, autumn.
It's a good game.
It's a good game. It's very puzzly. It's very fun. It's not as mathy and because I don't like abstract games, but Cat Sudoku is a lot of fun. And so adding diversity by adding more perspectives in. So you don't have a game about China that's based entirely on for example, Western Europeans' conception of what China is, right? A Western European artist, a Western European designer, or like a North American designer and a North American artist. Once you add more perspectives to the equation, what do you get? You get better art, you get better themes, you get better thematic integration, you get better designs, basically, because the more creativity, because we don't want to go back to 1990 when every game was a euro, in the vein of
some people would love that,
right?
But yeah.
The thing is, those people still have stuff that is catered to them, right?
Yeah.
But the hobby is so much broader now, right? We were talking earlier about the board game cafe games, right? The games that anyone can play. You can just sit down and play them with your grandmother. Those are fantastic. There needs to be more of them. But for some reason, our hobby sort of overlooks those games and only looks at anything that's like weight 3 and above, right?
I think it puts a lot more praise and attention on those games, but not necessarily justly so.
Also, because it is much harder to design a simple game that will withstand the test of time than it is to design a Twilight Imperium or a Eclipse, right? I think so. Like,
I've just an interesting thought exercise actually, because obviously
I think it's much harder. I think it's much harder.
I mean, I personally haven't done that, so I can't speak for experience. But I mean, I would say that I have heard the phrase that it's the common sort of analogy that it's actually much harder to write an amazing children's book than it is to write a novel, because everything counts much more.
Yeah, everything
when
counts.
There's less
Everything
words.
counts, and you have less tools to draw from. Because if you want to design a game like Twilight Imperium or Netrunner or Agricola, part of your tool set is 10 million little fiddly cards, right?
Yeah.
And you can just go, okay, this is going to have symbols and text and whatever.
Yeah.
You can't do that in a game that's meant to have mass broad appeal. You can't, right? So your toolbox is reduced. So, and also what we were talking about, the vocabulary of game design that we have all created. You have to genuinely create something new when you're trying to design something simple, I think. Innovate in a new way, because otherwise you'll be replicating something that's been done before. Because if it's obvious, someone will have thought of it. So that's where the real creativity comes in. You need to bang like two previously unrelated ideas together.
Yeah.
And you create something completely new. Like Codenames. Why did Codenames take off the way it does? Codenames, by the way, is sold like 30 million copies or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, that's insane.
Why did it take off the way it did? No idea. Bad luck. But also, it was something completely unique, right? We had never seen anything like it.
Well, and that's an interesting one, and I'm just going to draw from my own personal experience here, because I actually played, like I said, worked in a board game cafe, and actually that's actually a harder game to teach than it is than you might think.
Oh yeah.
Which is funny because it's a simple game. I agree with you, but it's not an easy game to teach. So it's funny because I do agree also that it is, hard. I do believe that it is difficult to design a simple game, but that one is not necessarily an example I'd use just because I've had experience teaching it. People don't grasp it. Like eventually they'll get it, but it's not a game that is like a 2-minute teach for sure.
No, it's not. Yeah. But it's had tremendous broad mass appeal and tremendous staying power. Like it's in supermarkets basically.
I would say like a game like Blokus is a good example of a game that's really easy to teach and has mass appeal because
it's also super deep and strategic and really difficult.
I keep saying, I mentioned this before on a previous stream or a chat I had recently, and I was saying it's almost like it felt like a guilty pleasure, but it really shouldn't, because it's actually a solid game.
It's a very good game that I personally don't like because I don't like themeless abstracts. It's not Blokus's fault.
No. I mean, that's just it's like it scratches the itch that I have with like trying to get a perfect game going on. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm going to get all those pieces.
It is very satisfying when you arrange everything. You're like, amazing. Yeah.
But you know what? That's not a game for everyone. But that's kind of interesting. I have a question about. What was I going to say? So I want to talk briefly about your writing prowess, because you do have great writing skills. I've read some of your articles.
Oh, thank you.
Really impressed with them. I think even the fact that sometimes, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but sometimes on Twitter you write more like stream of thought is my understanding, but still you get a lot of...
mileage.
You do. But I've read some of your articles, and it is like a different sort of style. Like it's very well done. What's your most proud work when it comes to your written work? Or I should say hi, before you answer that, by the way, I should say hi to Salt and Sass Games, who said they're the salt part of Salt and Sass. Mandy. So Mandy is watching. Just thought I'd let you know. If you have a question for Calvin, please write it in the chat. We can ask him towards the end of the stream. Most proud written work.
I published a play, and I think that's like one of the big like high water marks of my life, because it was a play about two roommates, basically, and one of the reasons I'm really proud of it is because I learned a lot while I was writing it, and I solved basically the major problem that I had with the play. It took me like 5 years to write, was that how do you tell a story about two roommates that doesn't that feels organic, that feels engaging, and doesn't and actually manages to tell a story, right? So because my issue was that I kept wanting to do the thing where I switch locations, So one day they're in the flat, and then one day they're at uni, and then one day they're at the shops, right? And I kept doing that, and it wasn't working. And then one day I was like in the car and I was beating myself up over this play, and I was driving home from work. It was very late at night, like midnight or something. And I was like, why is this play so damn hard to write? You've been writing this for years and years and years and years, and you can't crack it. It's just like, it's just a 90-minute play. Look, Calvin, you've written like 110, 15-minute plays. Just write 6 of those and call it a 90-minute play. Boom.
And that literally was it.
Oh, yeah, that was it. So I went home that night, and in that, that creative fever that grips you, stayed up until like 3, 4 a.m. just like jamming out scenes. I wrote like 30 draft scenes, and then from that just like cut them down, merge them into something like 6 or 7 little vignettes, right? So it ended up being about two roommates, and the play never leaves the flat, which I think is one of my proudest things about it. So they talk about stuff that happened outside the flat, like after the first scene they meet. Scene 2, I got my mom's coming over, so the mom comes over and they have a visit. Scene 3, I have a girlfriend now. It's been 3 months, So I was like trying to find, and I think part of the reason that it worked was because major events like people getting together, people breaking up, people doing their exams, people like going through major life-changing events, all happened in between the scenes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They did not happen on the stage, because people always assume like if you're gonna have a breakup, if they're gonna get together, you have to see it, because that's how we've been programmed to think about stories, right? Like we have to see them get together, you have to see them be happy, you have to see them break up. I was like, you don't need all that, and that's why I think the play worked for me, because it was basically like, again, it's one location, it's 90 minutes of mostly 2 people just talking to each other. And so the only way to make that not boring was to have the audience play catch up. It's like when I introduced the girlfriend, like, so there's 2 roommates, right? And one of them gets a girlfriend. And the girlfriend's just sitting there. I don't tell them who she is. She doesn't stand up and say to the audience, "Hi, my name is," like she's just there.
They're gonna have to
figure
glean
it
it from the context of the conversations and stuff. That's really cool.
Yes.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned that, because I have been watching. I know it's not an example of what you're saying because it does show the big bits, but I've been watching Better Call Saul. And what I really like about that show, I actually don't know how you feel about it. You might hate it, but I
haven't seen it.
I really like the show because what it tends to do is focus on a lot of kind of like slower conversations. It doesn't kind of it's not all about the big moments. And I think you could argue some of Breaking Bad did that. At least there was a whole episode which was just about conversation. But I think I like that, and I've noticed that more in shows. And any show which can make me watch just like a lot of conversations, which kind of imply there's big kind of scenes and stuff.
It's difficult because people assume that conversations are just like meaningless apparatuses, right? Like just 2 characters will yap at each other. But to imbue a conversation with tension, with drama, with like things that each character wants something, but they're not willing to say it out loud, and this sort of underlying weird undercurrent through the whole thing is really difficult, which is part of why I'm really proud of this play that's like 90 minutes of conversation.
You didn't actually mention the name of the play, and I feel like you should, just in case.
Oh, it's called The Taste of Water.
The Taste of Water. All right.
Yeah, because the thesis statement of the play basically is that, okay, Russ, what does water taste like?
It tastes like water.
I know what water tastes like. You know what water tastes like. Everyone listening to this knows what water tastes like, but we can't explain it to each other. And that's what the play is about. It's about something that everyone knows.
Ooh, okay.
We all feel the same things. We all taste the same things. We all feel the same way, but we cannot bridge the gulf between each other. We cannot explain the taste of water to each other.
Wow, this is like really fascinating, Calvin. It's almost like you're good at writing. No, fair play. That's very interesting. I'm very impressed by that. Actually, you know what? I realized we're coming up to the. Is there one thing you wanted to say?
Yes,
go for it.
That was non-games related writing. Games related writing. The thing that I'm really proud of is experimenting with review formats.
Okay.
Like I'm sure you've seen my review that's a limerick. Yeah, exactly. So I want to do board game reviews written board game reviews because that's what I'm interested in. Like, I considered a pivot to video, but I don't have the skills or the gear or anything like that. It would be funny though if I just had like a written review that transitioned to a video review halfway. So you're reading halfway. It's like, look, it's just easier if I show you and I just stop pointing my phone at things.
Hey,
Yeah, but that's what I want to do. I want to experiment with the medium, right? Like I had a friend, Charlie, who did a review as a choose your own adventure style thing, and that was his board
wow.
game review, and I thought it was
If you find
genius.
that, please tweet it again because that would be cool. Oh,
I will.
thanks for the follow, Joe Pinion. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Hi, Joe.
By the way, I should mention because I wanted to play a game with you, but you are coming close to 7. Now 7 is when we usually stop the stream. Do you have to rush off at 7? Because I can just no. Okay.
No.
So we'll get to the game. And then if there are questions, by the way, which there is at least one question, which is good. People are a lot shyer in this stream for some reason, but if you still have time, if you want to ask Calvin a question, just type it in the chat. We will get to him later. But yeah, there's a game that I wanted to play. Now, interestingly for you, I have a choice. Okay, so this game is based on, because I know you like it, Netrunner. Okay, but there's 2 versions of this game. There's the hard mode and the easy mode. Okay, and I can explain how the game works and then explain how the difference between the hard mode and easy mode before you make a decision. So how do you feel?
All right.
Okay, so the game is, I have looked through a lot of Netrunner cards, and I've kind of focused on 2 things: the names of cards and the flavor text on cards. Okay,
Yeah.
so what I have done, because I have nothing else to do, nothing better to do
I love
with
this
him.
game. I love this
I
game.
have created some fake card names and some
All right.
fake flavor text.
Awesome.
Now, if you wanted to play the easy mode of the game, I'm just going to list some names of cards, and then you have to tell me whether they're real cards or fake cards, which might be really easy to you if you know the game very well. So it might be just really simple. I mean, again, it depends on how your knowledge of the game. However, if you wanted to play a hard mode, I've actually just written up, and it's probably a silly idea to play a game where I am creatively writing with an actual writer, but I've given it a go anyway.
No. It's great.
So,
it's great.
so I've written some fake flavor text as well, and so literally, I've got maybe like 7 or 8 of them.
Okay.
And so do you want to play this game on easy mode or hard mode? And by the way, I should say that everyone at home can play along with it as well.
Which is funnier? I think hard mode would be funnier.
Hard
right?
mode would be funnier, but it is also harder.
Yes.
So as long as you don't care
I
about
don't
winning.
care.
Okay,
I
all
don't
right.
care.
Okay, so I've gotten 8 flavor texts, but some of them are not real. Some of them are just
not real. Yeah.
Some of them are just made up. All right. So I'm going to list through them, and then you just have
I have to say real or fake.
You have to say real or fake. That's all you have to do.
Bonus point if I can name the card, right?
Yes, that is true. So there's a maximum of X points. I can't tell you because I can't tell you how many this is fake or how many are real. All right. So the first one, okay, is you had a good run.
It's a real one. Yeah, you had a good one. I'm pretty sure I've seen that. But I could be wrong because it's one of those flavor texts that's a bit generic. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say it's fake. I'm going to say this one is fake.
So you're going to say it's fake, all right? So
you had a good run.
You had a good run. That's correct. It was fake.
Yeah.
I almost was so pleased that I almost fooled you with the first one. And just for those who aren't...
because the tone of it was very familiar. Like lots of Netrunner cards have flavor text in that tone, but I do not remember any specific card with that exact phrasing. That's why I went for fake.
Well, that's what I was trying to do because obviously I read through a lot of them and I was like,
you did a great job.
It gets like a bit of a...
You fooled me for the half second. Right?
That's enough.
My first instinct was to say real. Then I thought about it.
Do you know what? Yeah. That makes me so pleased because literally I didn't think you would even consider the fake one. So if that's the only one that's in there, because the rest of them could be real. If that's the only fake one, I feel so accomplished right now.
Well done.
Okay.
That was very good.
Okay.
Because I believed it for a second. If you told me, if you hadn't framed it for me, if you said, hey, remember that Netrunner card with the flavor text? You had a good run. I was like, kind of? Which card is it? I would have I wouldn't even have questioned. Well done.
Thank you so much. No, genuinely, that's it. Now I'm going to end the stream on a high note. Okay,
right.
no, we've got someone to go to. All right, so, and bear in mind, you can play along at home if you want to guess it's fake or real. Do it. Okay, so the next one is, good business is just great PR.
That's real.
So
that's real.
So real. Good business is just great PR. I can tell you.
I do not remember the card. Yeah.
I can tell you that it's actually my own.
Oh, amazing. Yes, again, well done. You've captured it very, very
Oh
well.
my god! You know, I've only played
Yeah.
a couple of games of Netrunner, but I just think
No,
it's very
but
striking. The
what this means is that you've absorbed the tone of the game so well that you've been able to. Yeah, that's I was about to say, like, this sounds like a Wayland ID or a Netrun NBN ID that like has that flavor text at the bottom, and yeah, well done, Russ.
Oh
Okay, point to
my
Russ.
god, my head is
We're
this cap.
tied
I'm
up.
gonna have to take this cap
We're,
off because my head is just expanding right now.
we're 1-1.
1-1, yes,
We're
true.
one.
Yes, I should be keeping track of points. Thank you for reminding me. All right, so one each. All right, so the third one is there was a certain Schadenfreude Freud about throwing away your credits.
That's real.
You saying that's real? So there's a certain Schadenfreude about throwing away your credits. Okay.
I've seen this before. I don't remember what card.
Okay. So you're right. It is real. Can you? You said you can't remember the card, so I'm not guessing going to get the bonus point. But do you want to give it a go anyway? I mean, you could just name any card.
There's a certain Schadenfreude about throwing away your credits.
I mean, that kind of, I'm guessing, gives you an idea about the kind of form of the card as well.
Not Vamp.
Is that your guess?
Vamp.
It's correct.
Vamp.
It is Vamp.
Yeah.
Freaking heck. All right. Well, there we go. So two extra points.
Vamp is a card where you make a run, and if the run is successful, you throw away as many credits as you want, and the corp has to lose that many as well.
Ah, okay. That makes that the flavor text makes a lot of sense now. Well, that's what I'm going to say. Hopefully, I mean, if you get them real or you find out they're real, that will give you an idea about the card itself, because a lot of them do tend to mix, right? Sorry, what's the word? Sync.
Not all of them though. Not all of them though, which is great. Anyway, yes.
All right, so yeah.
So
that's
3 points for Calvin.
3 versus 1 at the moment. But I feel like I said, I don't care. I've won this game just based on the fact that I wrote a good flavor text. All right, so the next one is, if this fails, then my last word will be F. Last words will be F expletive U expletives.
This is a real card, I think.
So if this fails, then my last words will be F expletives U expletives. It's mine. It's mine.
Oh, I was thinking for a second because I was trying to recall. No, but yeah, it feels real. It feels real. Yeah.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this game.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean.
So 3-2.
3-2. Yeah, this is good. This means it's more competitive, to be fair. All right, so we'll go straight to the next one because we are running over time, and it's like I said, it's not a rush. But okay, so the next one will be, it's like the one you just bought, only better.
That's a real one.
That's a real one. That is a real one.
It's Pad Campaign.
It's Pad Campaign. I feel like in retrospect, what I should have done is I should have put that one at the top because I thought that one would be quite an obvious one because it's one of the ways to get credits in the game, and that is quite a big strategy for some runs,
and it's
right?
it's one of the original core set cards from when the game first came out. Yeah. So it's referencing the iPhone too because so a person is holding their pad and there's a holographic lady advertising the new pad, which has an S on it.
Ah, nice. I like that.
It's the same pad, but it's the S.
It's great.
And this card came out in 2012.
All right, so bonus point. You get a bonus point. No, you're joking. If you get a bonus point for the year, you get a bonus point for the artist. No, I'm joking. One bonus point for enough for that. But that was very good. All right. So then let's do the last. I've got two more. Are you ready? All right. So anything worth doing is worth doing twice. That's real.
And it's
Hello to Book of Nerds who's joined us, and thanks for my.
Actually, you know what? This is a flavor text on 2 different cards. I remember this. There's a flavor text on 2 different cards because anything worth doing is worth doing twice. I cannot, however, remember which 2 cards they are, but I know that it's from 2 different cards.
You know what? I'm going to give you the bonus point because that is enough knowledge. By the way, Semi-Co-op just complimented me on my Anarch text, so thank you so much.
Yeah, it's very anarchic. Well done. You have 7 is like 1 for each faction. All right. Cool.
You are correct, by the way. It is on 2 cards. Now, it is real as well, so you'll get 2 points. And I feel like just knowing that there was on 2 different cards is actually enough. And the cards actually very appropriately are named the Twins and Deja Vu. So, I mean, that is just nice writing, isn't it? Nice Nice,
Yes,
right?
it is.
So yeah, that's correct. So we'll go into the final one. All right.
All right.
And this one is simply, I am become death.
All right, this one's real. It's an Apex card, I think. It's a card from the Apex faction. I think. Hang on. No. Or was it? Yes. Okay. Maybe not the Apex faction, but definitely from the Indian expansion cycle, because there was a. I Am Become Death is from the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the Indian holy books. I do not know much about Indian religious culture, so please, if I'm wrong. But it was made famous by Oppenheimer, who said it after the Manhattan Project. It's like, now we have become death, destroyer of worlds. It's a line from the Bhagavad Gita, and yeah, so it's a real one.
So real.
But I cannot remember the name of the card.
All right. Well, I can tell you that you are correct. It is real, but it was a little bit of a cheat, and that's why I saved it to last, because actually, that doesn't actually say it on the card. And do you know why that is?
Oh, right. Oh, it's because it's in Sanskrit, right?
It's in a code. It's in like the dotted code.
Oh, the Apex code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's in binary.
So it translates.
It's written in binary on the card.
So it translates to I am become death, but it doesn't actually say it on the card. But I will still allow that one, because that is literally what it translates to. So there we go.
Which card is it? Which card is it?
Harbinger. But it's also, there's another card. So this is interesting. Again, this is the fascinating lore behind I'm going to write, because I've forgotten it. But yeah, this is the fascinating thing about the lore in Netrunner, is because there is 2 cards, and one of them says, I am become death, and the other one says, destroyer of worlds, which is the quote, the rest of the quote that you wrote earlier on. But they are on 2 different cards. And one of them is Harbinger, and the other one is, oh man, I can't remember. Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah. But they're both from the same. They're both from the same faction.
Yeah, but again,
the Apex. Apex is like a malevolent AI. That's why it's written in binary.
But they both written on the. They're both written on the actual code on the card. So yeah, that's very good. Fair play. I think you well deserved the win there. I scored 2 points. Although it wasn't actually, just realised it wasn't really a me versus you game. It was actually just a game of you getting as many points as you can. So technically,
no, honestly, each of those 2 points is worth like 6 of mine. So I would say you won. Honestly,
no. You got a very healthy 8 points there, because your bonus card. Bonus point knowledge was insane, so fair play. And I think you deserve a round of applause for getting that many points in that game. And thank you for playing. How was it? Was it fun?
Yes. Yeah. I loved it. I love that we went for the hard version.
Yeah,
that was really fun.
I think actually, maybe if we were to ever do this again, maybe I'll just throw the easy one in as just a side thing. I'm going to keep that one because I like that. Actually, do you know what? Or do you just want to hear the fake cards that I came up with?
Yeah, please.
All right, so
actually no, just list them all, and I'll tell you which ones are the fake ones.
Okay, all right. So we'll do this. This is really briefly, but I'm just going to list them all, and then Calvin's just going to whiz through them and answer. Okay, so the first one that I've written down is punitive counter-strike.
That's real.
Correct. Vamp, you already got that one.
That's real. Yeah.
Arbitration.
That's fake.
That is fake.
That's not real.
That's fake. Yeah. That's right. Pad campaign, which we all just established as real. The twins and deja vu. Again, you can see I cross-referenced a lot of these.
Yeah, sure.
So actually, you'll know all the ones that are fake, unfortunately. But I cancelled.
No, that's not real.
That's not real.
No, it's not real.
Subterfuge.
Oh, rough. Because subterfuge is kind of like no, I don't think it's real either.
It's not real. I made it up.
Yeah.
You would have done a lot better on the easy mode, so that it was easier. But you did very well anyway. So fair play.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
We do have a question from the audience, and this one comes from Semi-Co-op. Semi-Co-op, love their comics, and thank you for tuning in, by the way. You're great. They said...
Hello, Rachel. Hello, Heinzer.
Yes. Oh, yes, I do know that. So I just like to refer to them as Semi-Co-op so I don't butcher the pronunciations because I'm terrible at them. But yeah, they ask, what creative project, and they've bracketed and said play, game, book, movie, would your dream project to be involved in? Would be your dream project to be involved in?
I want to remake Firefly, but with Asian people.
That's cool. You would like a fully Asian cast?
You can have 1 or 2 white people as a treat.
As a treat. I think that's a lovely idea to remake that. I mean, so I never watched the show, right? And I know, it's a great show, and I do.
No, actually, fine. You're not.
No, okay, but I have.
I love it, but my view on it has significantly dropped over time. Yeah.
Is that part of the reason you want to remake it? Because you think you can do it a lot better, or do it a lot more
Well, okay. So
justice?
for those who don't know, Firefly is a science fiction TV show about it's like a space western basically.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why people love it so much is that it's because it's about a found family in space, right? It's like a ragtag crew of misfits, scavengers, smugglers. They're not pirates. They never hurt people
Mm-hmm.
intentionally, or they stop hurting them once. But they're not malicious,
Yeah.
right? They're not malicious. They're just trying to survive. Like they ship cows from planet to planet. They take illegal jobs sometimes
Mm-hmm.
when they have to. But part of the reason that the show has such enduring charm is because of the way that the characters speak is very unique. It's got a really great um, no, he can fold his laundry. It's fine.
No, I just have
I
this
think
thing.
it's
This came up on the last stream. Like, it's my partner. He usually stays in the room while I do this stream, and then I say, "Oh, it's about till about 7."
fair.
So I lock
To
him
be
in
fair,
there,
it is
and then after
it is
7, yeah,
7:08.
he's like, "No,
Yeah,
you've had your
it's not
time." So fair enough.
not his fault. Yeah. But the reason I say remake it as an all Asian cast is because the universe is a future where the US and China formed an alliance, and like there's the Chinese flag on things. Characters speak Mandarin all the time,
Mm-hmm.
really badly, but they do. Um, and I'm like, but there's not a single Asian person
Wow,
in
not
the
in the
show.
whole show,
Not
and yet it's like you said, a Chinese.
when I say not in the whole show, I mean not in the whole show. I'm not talking about even the main cast, and there are no Asian side characters.
Yeah.
There's no Asian non-speaking roles. They just don't
Oh wow,
exist.
yeah, that does seem a bit of an
But
oversight.
in a universe where China is the other half of the major superpower and every character speaks Mandarin,
And yet not. Yeah, that does seem a bit of an
one
oversight. Fair play. I mean, I mean, because I don't want to sort of like go on much longer, but like how when did that occur to you? Like, was it because you said you enjoyed the show, and then
no, I still like a lot of things about it. The acting is really good. The dialogue is very good, and the concept is fantastic. Like, and every week a new adventure in this with your kooky weird family who can't get along sometimes, you know, and it's in space on a spaceship. What's not to love? So all of those things I still really like about it, but just like growing up and realizing that basically like decentering the white Western perspective, right? Like realizing that this is not just the only, like, me growing up Chinese in a Southeast Asian country, but my media consumption was so predominantly white Western because I speak English,
mm-hmm,
right? So all of these ideas sort of like I never questioned them, right? I
mm-hmm.
never ever questioned Firefly. It had to be pointed out to me. It's like, why are there no Asian people in this show? And I'm like, oh, but that's what I'm trying to do with, you said, like, my Twitter activism,
Yeah,
right? Which is try to just open the perspective, right? Just like get people to see. I'm not trying to say you cannot like this show or any other show that has like problematic elements or like whatever.
mm-hmm.
You can like them. I like Firefly. I can recite episodes from memory, right? But you have to acknowledge that there are issues with the things that you like.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord of the Rings is foundational for so many people, but
Yeah,
there's like no women in it, and it's really racist.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I get it, but also you have to be able to critique the things you love in order to be able to move past
And,
their mistakes.
and I do
Yeah.
think, by the way, that you do a good job of highlighting these issues, and that's one of the reasons I love following you on Twitter, because you kind of educate me a little bit. And again, this is just coming
Yeah.
from just someone who has never really sort of lived in an environment where we do question these things, and it's sort of like nice to be in a community on Twitter where we aren't afraid to criticize the things
Yeah.
we love.
I try to criticize in a way that lets people not feel bad, because
Yeah.
I know it's not nice to be scolded. And I try very hard not to do it, but it's difficult, because when you see yet another, Chinese themed game where there were absolutely no Chinese people involved whatsoever, but what I'm trying to do in that regard is I'm trying to point out the positives, like when games do it right. I'm trying to focus on those and say, like, we should see more of this.
Yeah.
We should see more of So instead of oh, and it's not fun being the angry person on Twitter all the time. You know, it takes a lot out of you, and you get all these like awful responses, and people get really defensive, and they say like, you know, well, aren't you the racist one?
Well, it's funny
Yeah.
because I mean, if it helps, like I've never considered the way that you speak as an angry like a tone. I've always said it's quite sensible, and I think that's why I like you doing it, because you do it in such a
Yeah.
sensible way, and
Yeah,
it doesn't
but
feel like you're
see what,
attacking.
but that's the thing, right? Like, I can do it because I have developed a thick enough skin to do it. If the thing is, Russ, if I was angry and screaming about it all the time, I would have a right to be, but you wouldn't listen because he's like, oh, she's this guy again. Oh my God, he's complaining about everything. Mute, unfollow. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
I know you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, but the vinegar is there. You know, you can't wish it to not be there. None of us who are doing this, like being angry online, want to be angry online. We want the reasons that we are angry to go away.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
Yeah.
You know.
I
Yeah.
think it's great that you do, and thank you. I mean, I know I'm just like one person, but thank you, because it does, and it is making a difference. So,
What was the question?
I don't remember.
Oh yeah. What would we do? Yeah, I would redo Firefly, but with Asian people. I would just.
We got a lot of
I would
mileage
let. I
out of
would,
that question. So fair play, Rachel and Heinze. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if I messed that up. So listen, one more question, just as a personal one, and I think it's just because just the very weirdness of me seeing you first time on a cinema screen. Obviously, you are an actor and you'd like to do it more. How? I mean, what did I write down? Would you say, if you could, and it was going to happen, would you do it as a full-time job? Would you do would acting be your thing, or would that take too much time away from playing board games and playing Netrunner, writing? I mean,
here's the thing about acting: it pays very well. If you can get like a big starring role, like I kind of lucked into, it paid decently. Like I got.
you don't have to say
What's
if you
it?
don't. It's like weird.
No. I want to. I want to publicly announce how much money I made off this, because I feel like transparency is very important. I made like 3,000 quid,
Wow.
which for like just a couple of days work, which it in terms of how successful the movie was, it doesn't sound like a lot, but nobody knew the movie was going to be that successful, and B, I was a nobody.
So
I was just like some guy.
so
That they cast.
so I'm guessing this is going in a place where you think that you would do that. You would do acting because it pays well, and that would give you enough financial support to sort of take time off to do all the other stuff that you are clearly passionate about.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
If I could, I mean, I suspect a lot of famous Hollywood people do this as well, right? Where they take a job, they're gone for like 2 or 3 months while it's filming or whatever, and they come back and they just do their passion projects. They just do their own stuff.
Do you know what? One thing, just a side tangent, but it's fine because this is the whole show premise. Is I noticed that a lot of people, when they're actors and when they reach a certain point, they become like directors on the show, which to me is just really funny because to me they are quite different skills. And just seems like
I'm actually a much better director and writer than I am as an actor.
Oh, I
actually.
100% believe
range
that.
My range as an actor is very narrow. The reason that I did a lot of theater was because the thing that I was very, very good at was text analysis. Like I could just read the script because I was a writer, right? And I would instantly know, okay, this is how I want to say this line. This is how I want to say this line. This is how I want to say this line. I would know immediately, because some actors have to find the motivation behind the line. They have to find the intention. I didn't have to do that. I just knew.
Yeah.
And I would have like 3 or 4 different variations. I was not very good at executing on those.
Well, you know what? To me, you did very well. So.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to have to cut that, but we are running slightly over time, and I do feel like I do have another my friend's birthday this evening, so I felt like I'm already going to be a bit late for that. But
so sorry.
No, don't apologize. Absolutely not. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. In fact, as we are wrapping up, If there's anything you'd like to plug, whether that's, like Twitter or anything you want. I mean, you've already
Yeah,
plugged
just
Kazrak.1.i on Instagram,
on
in case you
Instagram.
want to
Yeah.
follow
You can
Calvin's
just
lovely, beautiful cat.
yeah, follow me on Twitter. I love talking to people on Twitter. It's actually one of my favorite things.
You are,
Um,
considering you have
yeah.
as many followers as you do, I'm surprised how easy it is to communicate with you. Like every time I tweet or reply, you're always like replying back, and it's all very nice.
Yeah, because talking to people is one of my favorite things,
Yeah.
and meeting new people, talking to people, yeah, learning things from their experiences is one of my favorite things. Just period. So that's why I always do it.
I can vouch for that. And also, if you ever meet Calvin at a convention,
Or
he
anywhere,
probably has some candy to give out, right?
Lots.
Yeah.
Yes,
So please, if you must ask,
tons of Malaysian candy.
you absolutely must.
Tons of Malaysian.
Anyway, listen. So that's Ithela on Twitter. If you want to follow him. Thank you so much.
That's ITHAYLA.
Yeah, that wasn't an easy, obvious spelling at all. So yeah, thank you for spelling it out. Listen, I should do my little plugging bit as well. Like, so if you've enjoyed watching the show, Tina Chat is on every Tuesday and Friday at 6 p.m. And this coming next one, I think we're speaking to Chris and Lindsay from Behind the Box. They run a lovely YouTube channel, and they started streaming recently as well. So I'm very looking forward to chatting to them. That'll be on Tuesday. But we've got loads of other really exciting guests, just like Calvin, just like everybody else we've interviewed as well, coming up. So Tuesday and Friday. If you aren't following already, there's a little follow button just as you exit full screen. There's a little follow button. It's a little heart. Click it, and you'll get notified when I go live for any future streams. And I also do a video game stream on Mondays at 3 o'clock. And I do a lovely board gaming stream on Thursdays at 3 o'clock. And that's looking to be Great Western Trail solo mode. So if you haven't played that and you're curious, you can tune into then. So listen, I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. Anyway, I've done enough plugging. Thank you so much for giving me your time.
Watching,
yes, Thank you for watching. Thank you for giving us your time. I hope you've enjoyed chatting. And that's it. So until I guess the next time, we'll see you on the next stream. But thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.